don't know if I'm on this podcast or my dog Fightful, who's growling below. Not growling.
I really want her to come up here.
Talking.
Fightful. How are you doing?
I'm a 13-year-old curmudgeon of a dog that's about half alive.
Yeah.
Half her sight, half her ear.
Yeah. I really respect Fightful because she knows. There was a time where I tried to pet her. She was like, I don't know.
She doesn't let me pet her.
Really?
She's a cat. And that's why I'm envious of your dog.
Yeah.
An actual dog.
No, if you spend, everybody's like, oh my God, Max is so cute. And then they spend 2 days with him and they're like, get him away from me.
He's very cute though. He's like, sticks to you.
Yeah.
Always wants to be in your lap. That's the antithesis of Fightful. Fightful is, every time I go to pet her, she runs from me.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
She's just a girl.
We just coexist. I'm her food handler. That's about it.
As long as you're fed and you have a place to lay your head, what can you complain about?
She used to be homeless a very, very, very long time ago. I don't think she remembers her shelter days very clearly.
She was a shelter dog.
She was a pound dog. Really?
When did you
euthanizationist and everything?
How old was she when you got her?
1.5 years. Yeah. She's a Southern Belle. And, she was born in Atlanta.
Nice.
And just scoured the streets. We're talking about
absolutely
about 18 months.
Yeah.
How often she was kicking around, and then Pound picked her up, and then that's when I got her.
Love that.
Yeah. I was looking for. I put Dorkies. I put Dots and Yorkies.
So you like small dogs?
I like all dogs, but for my lifestyle, I knew that small and hypoallergenic was going to be my best bet for what I do for a living and how much I have to travel with her. So I knew there was more of a chance she'd get in the door without too many eyebrows being raised if she was like under the radar. And look at her when you're allergic to her. I press send. Google pops up this cute little picture. So that's a model dog.
Yeah.
I click on it, and she had heartworms. She was up for adoption like that week. So that she was getting her shots.
Yeah.
And when I showed up, just the picture had this cute little Einstein furry head. But what you don't know is when you showed up, the reason they had such a close up is the rest of her body is basically like a Siamese cat.
Honestly, she looks like a wiener dog.
She is
with hair.
Yeah, she's wiener meets poodle. She's like 11 different kinds of dog when I DNA'd her.
Yeah.
The rest of her body was fully shaped. She was so matted.
Oh my God.
So she was like this weird lion.
Yeah.
Like kind of an alpaca sweater with patches of hair. It looked very funny.
Like half lion, half chicken.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Half bald chicken. So she was quite the quirky little girl for several months.
She's perfect.
She's feisty, man.
Can I tell you a story?
Yeah.
Really quick. Okay. So Holland doesn't know this, but when I met her, she really changed my life in a way that you don't even know, because I was in a pretty weird place and my mom called me. I was like about to end my lease and I was trying to figure out like what I wanted to do. And she was like, it would be great if you could find a place that is like perfect for you and like a guest house and you can just chill. And I was like, I don't know, like I've only seen Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and like all this stuff. And
you're not familiar with Los Angeles at that point.
No, yeah. I had no idea. I was just used to like apartments. Like when I was in Dallas, it was just get an apartment and you're good to go for a year or so.
Right.
And when I met you,
beautiful apartments in Dallas.
I will say that's the one thing I miss.
Yeah.
It's just like the amount that you can get for what you have.
In LA, it's a different situation.
Yeah. It makes you become like a minimalist, honestly. And I've enjoyed becoming a minimalist, but it's been super like
process.
Yeah.
Sure. The pantries, the closets, the sides of the bedrooms are very different from Los Angeles to Dallas.
Yeah.
100%.
But when I met you, and one, you said you were from Dallas, I was like, perfect. Two, you were like just super kind. And I don't know if you have people that really look up to you and admire you, but I have to say you're like one of the kindest people that I've met. And I'm just super appreciative to be in the position that I am in correlation with you and just you giving me a chance and not like, judging me too much. When you grew up in Dallas, you grew up at an all-girls school until you were 16 years old. And you experienced a lot of different things, feeling like you might not be smart enough. You might not, interact with the people that were around you super well. But that's surprising to me because when you moved to LA, you studied molecular biology.
I did, yeah.
What does that even mean?
Well, I was pre-med basically for 3 years in college. But I went to that all-girls school. And when you go to, I just always thought I was kind of dumb because I was that BC student.
Yeah.
But when I switched to a different school, although socially at that all girls school, they're still some of my best friends, and I'm so grateful for that, because I once I became an adult, I realized how not normal that is to have all these good girlfriends that you know since you were 5 years old. But when I went to this very big, intimidating school that you like learn how to cheat on tests, and I didn't realize how sheltered I was.
Really?
And I also didn't realize of what a gift I had been a part of having single sex education is so important.
That's the thing that they teach it.
Well, only girls, or then there was like a sisters to a brother school that's all boys.
Yeah,
basically, really found myself regretting I think the attitude I gave my parents for not realizing that I had an amazing opportunity, an amazing education. And so I took that, and I always had been interested in science. And once I got to that public school, my grades all of a sudden shot up and became a lot better.
Yeah.
And so I was able to use some of that kind of tough curriculum. So they just kind of beat it into you in school.
Yeah.
And I was used to having way more homework than I was having at this new school. So I was able to take that opportunity to at least get my GPA to increase quite a bit in order to get into UCLA. And so I was able to go to college out here. Back in the day, if you took a gap year, this is not the case anymore. Yeah. You could get in-state, which made a very big difference financially. And so it was really cheap for me to go to UCLA. Yeah. And because I did take the gap year.
You did take the gap year. Okay.
I took the gap year, and I worked here and just lived normal life.
But I didn't know that you took a gap year. So you worked, you did different things. Was it?
I worked in a bridal shop.
A bridal shop?
Yes. I worked in a bridal shop, and I worked at, I'm trying to think I served quite a bit in high school. And so, I worked, at Outback Steakhouse in a valley in Northridge. And then I also worked at the bridal shop in Beverly Hills.
I didn't know they had an Outback Steakhouse here.
It's great.
Yeah.
Outback Steakhouse.
So you worked, you did all those things. So what made you say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and go to college and not just kind of figure out what I'm doing here instead of,
right. I think Gen Z's changed a lot in their path. Yeah. Gap years were still kind of frowned upon when I was growing up. And so I love that now people are taking, between YouTube University is what I call it.
That's what I took.
Yeah. YouTube University.
Yeah.
YouTube University, and just the access that social media has allowed people.
Yeah.
Podcasting. The business model has just completely changed. And there's a really good book what's it called? Nike Shoe or Shoe Night. It's Phil Knight, the owner of Nike, creator of Nike. He wrote a book about his journey, and they're saying that it took the average lifespan of a career was 30 years in the 1950s, and then down to 20 years in the 1980s, and then in the 1990s it was 15 years. And if you're looking at the aughts now, the turnover rate of how many careers, I think it's average of 7 careers that people have in their lives now. Whereas before you entered the workforce and then retired with your 401k at the same company. So our idea of the ebb and flow and how quick companies can exit now, startups can exit, it's just a different ballgame. And so I did take a gap year. If I could redo it now, you look at these 16-year-olds with full-fledged businesses. It's wild where colleges, depending on your industry, I would say at least slowly, even at a molasses pace, becoming a bit antiquated. When, as Goodwill Hunting says, the knowledge is out there. You just have to find it.
You have to find it. You have to be ready to go grab it.
It's not curated for you in a format that costs a ton of money. But at the same time, you look at student debt, and, college is amazing depending on your industry. But at the same time, so much is dependent on internships.
Yeah.
Really what you're doing during your summers and when you're not in class, depending on the industry. So my industry, entertainment, is what I ended up pivoting to. yeah, no, absolutely. College is not a requirement.
Yeah.
But what I was going to go into was pre-med was, yeah, you got to go to school for that.
I mean, you can't.
Let's hope you're a doctor.
Yeah. When I did research, I had to Google what molecular biology was, why you decided to go on women's studies, which is kind of correlates back to being from an all-girls school. But
it kind of does, yeah.
I can kind of speak to like taking the gap year and then I'm like millennial Gen Z, right? It was at the time I was going to go to school out here and it was just so expensive. And there were just like a lot of factors that I had to figure out. I was like, I'll just take a little bit every year and see what it's giving. And then I was like, I don't need to go to school. But I also understand that there is structure and discipline that's built in when you go to school. So once you transition from going to school after your gap year, was there ever a part of you that looked at life and said, I'm meant to be in the entertainment industry?
I loved storytelling growing up. And I remember when a movie would end and the lights would come up, to this day, there's very few circumstances where I get that depressed that quickly. And I couldn't handle the emotional state of when a movie would end. I knew it was going to hit me hard. And the story would continue for several days in my head. And whenever I was in history class, it was anecdotal when they would sit down and come throw in the textbooks and say, it sort of in layman terms of explain the story like a fireside chat, like gather around children to the story grandfather style. That was what I could stay in history forever in that case.
Really?
I also was very left-brained and I love science and I had a knack for memorization, not application, it turns out. Chemistry, physics, not so much.
Yeah.
Biology, physiology, great. And
chemistry?
So it was my best friend ended up getting her PhD in a certain kind of chemistry.
Yeah.
And I remember us sitting in 7th grade chemistry class and she had such a knack for it. Really did not.
She should have been a tutor.
She kind of tried.
Yeah.
But poor thick brain. Thick skull. But yeah, so it was, I kind of dabbled in both. I loved science, but then I also just loved storytelling.
Yeah.
And that really carried with me into college. And I thought, okay, science is a bit more predictable to find a job.
Yeah.
And then sophomore year, I thought, okay, in high school had dabbled in, when I switched to that public school, I had dabbled in acting class outside of school. And when you went to that small girls' school, you kind of your identity set for you so early. Yeah. So I remember playing soccer and I was a dancer, but I really wanted to be more in the arts. And I think I was just embarrassed for some reason, because I think when your identity is so, that's what you are.
Yeah.
I didn't have the courage to step out and say, I'm changing, I'm evolving.
Yeah. I
kind of thought once you're pigeonholed in that little hole, that's where you stay as a kid. And so it was, I learned some interesting lessons that I were bad habits. And then I learned, some amazing lessons in that.
It applied to your life now. I feel like Dallas kind of doesn't foster the ability to be creative.
It's not the most, at least where I grew up. I mean, I think different parts of Dallas are evolving, like Bishop Arts, Keith Mellum. I know, I don't even know about Frisco, but Frisco is like
that's where I grew up.
Okay, it's like the fastest growing neighborhood in the nation.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's blown up.
It's so big, and I feel like Frisco McKinney. I went to McKinney and I was homeschooled my sophomore year, and then my senior year I was homeschooled as well. But I ended up going to a magnet school in South Dallas.
Which one is it?
Townview Magnet Center.
Okay.
And
I know Booker T. I
auditioned there
for Booker T. I didn't get it. Booker T's hard to get in, right? If you're in Dallas. But it was a cool school.
It was cool. And the audition process was like intense.
It was intense. It was still intense. Yeah. Booker T, if you guys are in Dallas and you are young listening to this podcast, interested in the arts, start just floating around Booker T.
Exactly.
Make friends over there with the faculty.
See what they have going on. Go to like different events because they're really active. But I think I went like 2 weeks before auditions and I was like, I got this. And then I was like, what the? Yeah.
It's a lot. Booker T's no joke.
But do you feel like in your life there was a moment you talked a little bit about like wanting to get into the arts but feeling a little bit embarrassed. Was it fostered in your home or
No.
was it
No, it was not. I grew up in a very black and white, like dad's a doctor, and unless there's a bone protruding through your body, you're fine, walk it off.
Really?
Yes. It was like, hey, no ma'am. So I mean, I love my dad, but he's a tough guy.
He's a tough guy.
Everyone thought he was in the military. He was not in the military, but he kind of leads with that feeling.
My dad's in the military.
So then your dad's in the military. So yeah.
Yeah. And it was like,
but did he seem like he was in the military with his kids, or was he kind of with his kids?
Softer girl.
So then he was soft.
Yeah, he was soft, but he was also like, make your bed. Like we had very strict, super strict rules. And even to this day, like he's on time. He's like 15 minutes early, or he's like, you know, just make sure your life is in. He's calling me every day. Like, do you have this in order? Like, what's going on? Like 3 months from now. It's very helpful. But
he loves you. That's why.
He loves you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just feel like moving from a place like Dallas, and I talked about this in the first episode, and coming to LA, you've been here for a while. Like,
oh gosh, I've been here for like 18 years. 19 years? Yeah.
Over a decade.
19 years.
That's crazy. How do you feel like you've changed, or do you feel like the industry has changed you, or do you feel like you are in a place where you kind of feel like you're getting back to yourself? Like, what has changed over the decade, especially as someone that's only been here for almost 2 years? I have my own experiences, but I'm curious about people who have been able to stay here for so long and kind of keep their sanity.
I don't know if I have my sanity about me, but LA is a tough place. It's 20 million people that live in the city. There's so many boroughs of Los Angeles that it's almost like 5 different cities in itself, depending on where you live, because of the sprawl. It takes so long to get across town in traffic. It's only like 5 miles away, but it takes like,
55 minutes to go one place.
It takes like an hour, no problem. So, when I first moved to LA, it did take me several years to get my head around it. I was going to college. I was serving. I had done some like short films, and it's called Copy Meal, where you don't get paid, and you get a copy of the project, and you get a meal out of it.
Yeah.
And so I was going on my weekends and my nights outside of school and high school, basically doing as many short films as I could get my hands on that I would find on Craigslist. I always joked I should have been on the 6 o'clock news, and I wasn't. I somehow never got.
You never got messed. Like nobody tried to grab you or kill you.
I've maybe been in a few sticky situations in my life. I've traveled all over the world by myself for the most part for the last 13 years, and you really do grow some pretty thick skin. But I also think the world's a lot friendlier than people give it credit for. You just can't have. You have to have the "don't fuck with me" undertone to you, because people can smell weakness. But if you have the "don't fuck with me" attitude, especially in walking alone at night, landing in cities you've never been in at 2 a.m. in the morning, travel light as well. Don't have a bunch of shit with you. I've gotten mugged on a metro in Paris.
Mugged?
Just once? Yeah, kind of just once. Kind of twice.
That's
but
not
really
like
just
a
once.
like a chill thing that happened.
It's fine.
Okay.
It was thankfully.
It's fine. That's cool.
It could have been worse. If they take your shit, that's a good day.
Yeah.
It was more like pickpocketed / mugged.
Okay.
So I knew he was doing it, and then I wasn't going to stop it.
Yeah.
Because that's when I think things can go south. But I was busy. It was on a Parisian Paris metro at rush hour, and I have 4 bags. That's what you don't do.
Yeah.
And I learned that in my mid to late 20s. Travel light, Holland. Have zippers.
Are you minimalist?
I try to be a minimalist.
Okay.
I'm a big advocate. I want the 60 capsule wardrobe situation.
Ooh, that's nice. Yeah.
I don't think I'll get there, and I'm not a minimalist. No, ma'am. I'm not a minimalist when it comes to my kitchen paraphernalia.
Do you like to cook?
I like kitchen stuff. Really? Just like all the things. And you don't need any of the things.
So you're like an air fryer.
I don't even have an air fryer.
Really?
But I really want an air fryer.
Just get one.
I keep trying to. I've got like a lot of the salad spinner, and then you have certain like eco-friendly bags you keep your lettuce in. Like,
yeah.
all this shit you don't need.
Yeah. It's helpful to the planet.
It's interesting. Yeah, I've got everything reusable.
Yeah.
But it's not cheap.
Yeah.
And so that's my guilty pleasure. But yeah, I would say Los Angeles was just a place that I had aspirations of wanting to go into the business. Otherwise, I think I would have ended up in like a mountain town.
Okay.
And Los Angeles always felt like this big scary thing to me. Like I remember landing at LAX and just being like, I'm in Los Angeles. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And feeling like I was just never good enough for this city, or that like Dallas is just worlds away from here. It's very different.
So different.
Yeah. So I felt very intimidated.
Yeah.
College was my security blanket for sure. The gap year taught me at the time that I was just really intimidated by I was up against the world essentially. So going to college, my freshman year being a science major, protected me of a backup plan basically. I was lucky enough to be able to do 3 years of pre-med that way through my molecular biology, but then switched to women's studies when my sophomore year, I had done a short film with one of the moms with her son. I did the film with her son, but the mom said, hey, her name's Vicky, let us know if you're ever in town. We'll get an agent. We can at least introduce you to ours. And that's how it was very much a who you knew, but at the same time as when luck is when opportunity meets preparedness, because I had done the short films and worked my ass off instead of hanging out with my friends on the weekends. And that's kind of how I got involved in the entertainment industry. Was I ended up making sure my grades were okay my freshman year. My dad made a real hard argument, said, you have to, I had done a bunch of kind of industrial buyout commercials, so I had a little bit of extra money saved up. And so he would front me, I would have to front myself the money.
Okay.
And if I got certain grades at the end of the semester, then he would pay me back.
He's like my dad. He's a military dad.
He's a military dad. Yes.
Yeah.
He was not the military, but he was a military dad.
Yeah.
I think my brother had it a little bit easier.
Really?
But yeah, he was not just going to pay for college. Then he was going to pay for me to audition. Is how he phrased it. So,
you know, it's funny. The other day, my dad literally said, I pay for dreams, or I don't pay for dreams. I pay for reality. So I understand that. Like, being able to, I personally was kind of like, why would you say that? But I also understand that like having that backup plan is important. But you talked a little bit about feeling like you weren't good enough to be here. And what do you think separates you as someone who might have had a little bit of insecurity and had that backup plan from people who come here and they have these massive dreams,
right?
And that's all they want to work towards. And you kind of seem like you just went with the flow and allowed life to happen for you.
I mean, I was hustling in the sense that like I would go to class 3 days a week. I had put all of my classes at times. I was never a morning person. I would wake up and I would sit front row. I'd make friends with all of my professors. I never went to one football game, one party. Really? Not one. No, I went to a UCLA football game after the fact years later as a joke. Just sort of like, I was just really hoping that all my hard work would pay off. Spoiler alert, it kind of did.
It did.
No, it kind of did. It kind of didn't.
Really?
I would say it didn't ultimately. I think I was way too focused. I was able to become a working actor and have every year for 2 decades or 16, 17 years. But I ultimately, I kind of thought, okay, I'll work really, really hard and then everything's going to work out. And life is just not that polarized. It is way more, like you said, ebb and flow. And it was a situation where I was going to class 3-4 days a week. And then I got really lucky my sophomore year and I booked the first show I went out on.
Yeah.
So I was then working on a show for those 8 months as well in Los Angeles. So there's certain days we'd shoot that I had to beg my professors that if we had a test or something, then I'd already had sort of proven myself by sitting front row and becoming best friends with them. They knew what I was up to.
Yeah.
And then 5 nights a week I would serve. And so I also was trying to go to nursing school, plot thickened. So like I couldn't do those in college. It's called an active major. So I had to go to community college as well to take those other prerequisites. So I was kind of double majoring. So yeah, half the school nights I was in nursing class with prerequisites to apply to nursing school. Because I was so scared acting would work out.
Really?
And then because you could easily book a show and book a show again.
That's true.
And then the other half was serve, go to school during the day, shoot also during the day.
That's crazy.
I felt like I was living 3 lives. It was like actor life,
No, seriously, yeah.
nursing prerequisite life, college life, and then serving life.
Yeah.
Which were like kind of 4 different lives. Yeah.
I'm curious, it's like,
I don't recommend that.
no,
It was really stressful.
I can't imagine. I feel like that's the life I'm living right now. And it's like, it's a little, you get that, like, you're fed the creativity that you need to kind of keep going and be like, okay, like this feels good. This makes sense for me. But I kind of grew up completely opposite. Like I was the black sheep of my family and I was just like, whatever I want is going to happen. Like I never thought twice about it. I was lucky to grow up with a mom that really was just like, whatever you want to do, go for it. Like it was pretty easy, but I just wonder where that drive and that dedication came from.
I think I really wanted to succeed.
Okay.
And I thought my dad was really strict. They were not pleased with the acting thing, but I'm also the oldest of 4.
Oh,
so they were like, bye. Like,
yeah.
You're gone. Great. Like,
do whatever.
Yeah. And so they've never really they've never put pressure on me to stay with the family or to have kids. So for that, I'm very lucky that they've just let me
be who you are.
And at the same time, I got to figure out everything for myself. They're not going to help me, but at least there's no pressure to do certain things that are not meant for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of my own island out there.
Do you feel like the maybe the pressure to be the best has translated after being out here for almost 2 decades, has translated to the place that you are now? Because I don't think people understand, like, your 20s, you kind of, from my perspective, have lived a different life.
Oh yeah. I was just working.
Yeah. And I was like flying off cars, like having a blast. And now I'm like, gotta get it together.
Right.
I mean, I think for most of my life, I worked like a 9 to 5 when I was 15. Like I worked my whole life, but I just wonder, after spending so much time and kind of putting that pressure on yourself, do you feel like it's made you who you are today, or are you trying to step away from it?
So when I worked that hard mid-20s, the second show I booked, I did that first show for like 8 months. We got canceled before we aired. We shot our whole first season. It was like a dark comedy on HBO. We had promos during the Sopranos finale. And then 2 weeks before it was supposed to air, they canceled it. It's a very long story.
So late for you, man.
The president of HBO at the time, I think it was beating a hooker in Vegas.
What?
It was not with a particular type of person. It was abusing that person on top of it. And so he had to step down, and his president of programming stepped down as well. And even though the president of programming, she didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. Just guilty by association.
But they kind of come as a pair. And the new regime that came in, Flight of the Conchords was really popular at the time. Okay. And that was $500,000 for half an hour. Wow. And they were really successful. Yeah. And so there was 2 shows that were $3.5 million. Certainly wasn't coming from my salary. I was making scale. But we had some big comedians on our show. And so they thought, okay, one's a half hour, 3.5 million. The other one's 42 minutes, i.e. kind of an hour. Yeah. And I was called True Blood. And True Blood had stunts. They were longer. There was a reason why they were so expensive. Yeah. Ours were salaries of those big comedians. And I thought, okay, they're only going to get more expensive. We were a dark comedy. There was not really stunts. Yeah. So they canceled us. And they just scrapped $25 million for that first season.
All 8 months of work just gone.
And so the next show I booked was a show called Teen Wolf. And that was about a year later.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. But Teen Wolf, when I was doing my research, I didn't realize it is a big, huge show. Like, I was on TikTok. I say this every 5 seconds. I'm on TikTok. And I was like looking at someone's video. And it wasn't the nicest comment, I have to say. But they were like, is this an episode of Teen Wolf? Like, commenting on the person. That was a massive show. Yeah.
It was a bigger show. Yeah. It was kind of surprise hit because it was on MTV. They were mainly known for doing reality. Yeah. A lot of actors were even confused that, like, what do you mean this is for MTV? Yeah. You're going on auditions for it. So when I booked it, I was testing for another show that week, and I did not see that coming. I thought I got the call at 7:30 at night once the agencies are closed.
Yeah.
It's like a big call. I was leaving Outback Steakhouse, and I thought they were calling for this other show that only we did win a season. So you never know. It's going to be an ABC, but it was it looked like much more sparkly job than Teen Wolf.
Okay.
Is my point. And then it was like, nope, but you got Teen Wolf. And so I jumped right in, and we were a year and a half. We shot that. It was in 2009 I auditioned. And in 2009 to 2010, we shot pilot presentation.
Okay.
It was like a mini pilot.
Yeah.
And then in May of 2010, we got picked up, but we didn't air until 2011, the summer of 2011.
2 years.
It was a year and a half.
Yeah.
Over a year and a half. So I was just so paranoid that it was never going to air like the first show I did.
Yeah.
So when I booked Teen Wolf, to a very long-winded way of saying, to answer your question, that's when I think I got my college experience.
Okay.
We had young kids on the show. I was I was a senior in college when I first I was 23.
Okay.
Just to turn 23. And filmed Teen Wolf, the pilot presentation. And when we got picked up in May, we went back to the show in October, and I was able to graduate that summer.
Oh,
so just sheer luck.
Yeah.
I was able to graduate.
Yeah.
I didn't have to walk away from college. So I had to take like tests during my pilot presentation. The producer had to proctor me at Video Village, where you said watch all the monitors. So it was quite fun. It was applying to nursing schools for the pilot. I think I applied to 7 nursing schools in case this show didn't work out like the first show.
So you're not like a go with the flow kind of person. You're a
not back then.
Not back then.
Not
now
back
it's
then.
a little different.
I think I was so concerned. One thing about Dallas, I think there's an emphasis of the world runs on money. Everyone runs on money. But Dallas I feel like money is a bigger deal than it is in LA. LA, anything goes. You can show up to a party. It is truly a mix of everybody.
It's a melting pot. There's a club in Dallas actually right now that says "Keep Dallas Pretentious" on the wall. Like it's a thing.
It's a thing.
And I was like, oh, I gotta go. Like this is not.
It was just run like the dating scene. I felt like in Dallas, which I didn't experience a lot of, but I had friends that did. And it's like shopping, eating, and drinking.
That's all you do.
And that's all you do. And so
there's opportunity to go hiking, the opportunity to put yourself in different
hiking's free. You can go camping, but there's not a camping culture there. So for me, Dallas just felt a little too sterile. And that's not necessarily the case. It's just my view and my like antiquated stereotype of Dallas. As far as the outdoor culture, and there are places I think to camp outside of Dallas, Texas.
Hey y'all, I hate to take a break, but I think this is the perfect point for me to talk about our product of the week. If you're anything like me and hate sitting down to get your nails done, your hair done, but you love the end result, this product is for you. And I'm talking about press-on nails from Black Acrylics. And not just any press-on nails, custom press-on nails. And not just custom press-on nails, quality custom press-on nails. When you order these custom nails, you get a sheet on how to apply them, how to take them off, how to take care of your nails in between, and how to take care of the nails so you can use them for up to 6 months. I am a sucker for ease and convenience, so I'm definitely going to be using these nails in the future. So for the next 30 days, if you use my code LAYLOW, when you place your custom order, you can get 10% off. Now, personally, I'm a short black nail kind of girl, so I'm definitely going to be placing an order of short black press-on nails to use for if I have a date, an event, anything where I'm like, oh my God, I don't have time to go get my nails done. So again, use my code LAYLOW for 10% off when you place a custom order. I will put all of the information in the description of the audio episode and on our YouTube. Thank you so much, Black Acrylics, for sponsoring a portion of this video. Let's get back to the episode.
Once I got on that show and I was able to experience what it felt like to relax for a second and enjoy what you're doing, I really got to experience a beautiful ride on Teen Wolf. It was a lot of work. We worked 90 hours a week, 12 to 16 hour days. But it was the time of my life. And I'm so grateful for it. I got so lucky to book that show. I got so lucky that the cast got along so well. We were all in such small places in our life. And we were all just down for a work hard, play hard mentality.
Doing what you guys love.
Yeah.
thinking too much into it.
Yeah, I got to travel the world through Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
And it was really in my late 20s to early 30s. I was 23 getting the show and 31 coming off of it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so I came into my 30s trying to find another show, would book a pilot, wouldn't go, booked a few movies. And when everyone was sort of finding their footing in their careers, I was all of a sudden free falling again. So it was an interesting time. But it was definitely more money I was making than at Outback Steakhouse. So I still had roommates throughout Teen Wolf.
Really?
Yeah. And I would try and save to buy a house. And it wasn't until my early 30s, 31 coming off of Teen Wolf, having such a ride, that I finally leaned into the hippie mentality of more money, you could just spend less.
That is such a big thing because I think less is more, but more can also be less or more can be enough. I want to ask you a question that I don't know if you know the answer to, but I'm curious as like how people would describe, like the people closest to you would describe you today, because I kind of identify now with where you are in terms of like spending less, enjoying life, allowing it to be what it is. Was there a sense of you that was like freaking out, was afraid, or were you just kind of like, you know what? I surrendered to what it is? Because I think when we exchange luck, there comes surrender with it too. And I'm curious if like people around you today would say you've become this like hippie person, or if you're just kind of like, okay, it's cool.
I think people would describe me as I was really scared I wouldn't make enough money. There was such a fear around money for so many years. And I discovered nomadic living and van life in my early 30s. And I, for 3 years, looked at hundreds of bills of what I could afford. And I had this plan, which is still sort of in place, that I could live in my van, which I did for full time for 13 months. I met a guy. That's the only reason I moved back to Los Angeles.
You left?
I recently left my house.
Okay.
And lived in the van. And so from December 2020 to January of 22, I lived in there. And I loved it. I loved going out on the road. And that was really the first time I think people's views changed of me that I've known you for many years, where I saw how little you needed to live with.
It was a bit of a shock to them to see like.
I think it was a relief for them that I finally didn't feel the need to just keep up with the rat race. And I let go of publicity. I stopped going to red carpets because that's a very expensive industry. Yeah. And I really just wanted to embrace enjoying life a little bit more. It was not until my early 30s where I really slowed down. And now I'm in my late 30s and done a pretty good job. I think journaling once a month, minimum. And it can simply be of what did I do this month? What did I do from day 1 to day 30 of this month? And sometimes it's a gratitude exercise, and I felt like it didn't get done this month. I'm failing. You can look at all of the things that you got to do personally and professionally.
I love that.
So just jotting down, and that's what I started in the van. I learned to manage my time better in the van because everything takes longer in a van. So
I love that though. It's a slow. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, but the van for me was my ebb and flow. It was when I really started to come into a slower way of life.
I'm curious, like how you got into it. My best friend of 15 years, she and I went through like a van life craze, probably like 4 or 5 years ago, where we just like watch YouTubers nonstop. And like, there's this YouTuber, Earth Mama Medicine, and she really created like an agricultural life for herself. And it's always been a dream of mine, but there's always been this fear for me that's like, okay, I can live in a van, I can do the things, or not even a van, but just kind of like live this like quiet life. But what happens if someone needs me or something is needed, or if I'm called back, will I feel comfortable doing it? And I'm curious, like in doing that transition, were you afraid? Did you just feel like this is what I've got to go do? Was it the same feeling as booking a show and being like, okay, yes, like this worked out?
I think the logistics overall, I was really excited to get to the van. But I would say that when you got down to the nitty gritty, like you turn off your van at night, you're on a road trip, and at first I refused to stay in Walmart parking lots when I was traveling.
Yeah.
And I would go out of my way when you're already driving a 10-hour day.
Yeah.
I would go up to the top of a mountain from iOverlander, the app I would download.
Mm-hmm.
And those dark, like off-roading dirt roads up the mountain, and you turn off the engine and you're just in the middle of nowhere.
It's freaky.
And it takes a while, or you could be in a desert, as I went back from LA to Texas. Yeah.
Devontae, where did I go recently? By the way, Devontae's here, y'all, and y'all left him on the first episode. So if I call his name, that's why. Where did I go recently that I left at 2:00 in the morning?
Joshua Tree.
I was done. I wanted to do it so bad. I was out. I said, I can't do this. Yeah.
It takes a few nights to wrap your head around it. And I found that as soon as I gave it to the Walmart parking lot, road trip life, when you're traveling in a van or in a school bus just to get to your destination, I felt so much safer in the Walmart parking lots and Home Depot parking lots. And you just pull in, you're like, oh, I don't have to worry about anything. I'm fine.
You go to the bathroom in the morning. Like,
there's other travelers.
Yeah.
And you just start to realize it always takes me a few days in the van to be able to park in deserts by myself or the top of mountains by myself. Yeah. But then you ease into it. It takes 4 or 5 nights. And then you realize no one's going to get you out there.
Yeah.
I had an ex when we got in the van, bless his heart, is a lovely man, but he thought the meth heads were going to get us in the desert.
Meth heads?
The meth heads. Almost, he's like, there's meth heads that can get us down here.
Imagine a meth head in Junction
I'm like, the meth heads, they would be pretty active meth heads to like get out here and find us. And we opened, I was like, no, wildlife. That is what's to be scared of.
Sheep and the coyote and like
the mountain lions. I opened up my door one day and there were like, we were pretty sure there were mountain lion prints. Yeah, right up to the door, walked around on it. So, I think coming into myself, efficiency in myself, just knowing I can do it.
Yeah.
That self-confidence of knowing you're completely capable of handling situations that you feel uncomfortable with helped me a lot with ebb and flow as well, because I feel like anything can go wrong. I will break down in the middle of nowhere and I don't even say anything's wrong. It's just troubleshooting. If there's nothing broken. And so
you just got to work. It's like a science problem. You just got to work through it.
And so your stress level peaks a lot less when you're not having a meltdown every 5 seconds because the littlest thing goes wrong. Your tolerance for a lot of balls being thrown at you, you get really good at it.
I want to go, I have a few more questions that might get a little bit deeper. A lot of balls being thrown at you. One of the things that I realize that I struggle with in my life is chaos. I feel like as structured as I am, I'm very type A, but creative, but type A at the same time. I don't have a morning routine, but I need a morning routine. Or I don't have I freak out all day. The people around me are like, oh my God, you're so chill. Go with the flow. I'm like, I'm having a panic attack. What are you talking about? You can't see it. You can't see it. And I wonder if at the place that you are now and at the age that you are now, do we have to continue to answer to the consciousness of being conscious? Or do we get to just say, you know what, fuck it. I'm sorry, excuse me. But fuck it. I'm just going to do whatever it is that I want to do. And you get more comfortable in doing that. Or do you just I have to be type A and kind of figure things out?
Just a balance. I think as I get to my late 30s, I would say, I think organization, for me, to a certain extent on a macro and micro level, I look at really creative people on YouTube that I really respect. And if you look at them that you like, there's a couple named Kira and Nate that I
watch them.
They're
in my van life.
They're the
journey.
Cutest,
cheesiest. They're so
sweetest,
good. Yes,
smartest, and man,
they get it done.
Work hard,
and they
travel 52 videos come out weekly for over 7 years, if not more. They were daily vlogging in the beginning. I really admire them as individuals and then as a married couple, because I don't know many married couples that were that in sync at such a young age. They were high school students, or I understand. And the fact that they divided and conquered this business in 2016, they are now a 7-figure business in less than 8 years, is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And she was a nanny. I call him a transponder, like what Chandler did on Friends. Like,
yeah,
you know,
he just like commentary.
Yeah. They didn't have a lot of money. And they had no money.
Yeah.
And they had $75, including lodging and travel, that they lived on a day for 3 years. I think it was 2 or minimum. I know it was 2.
Because I know they teach a lot about like
Travel.
Yeah. But like 75 is
75.
crazy.
And they saved up miles and points. Before they had 2 million points they added up. They have, I don't know how many credit cards. I think he's trying to write a book about it. He was one of the early travel hackers. And so the amount of time for 2 years, they saved up points, credit cards, spending the minimum on each credit card to get the points. He had Excel spreadsheets about, they approached it so intelligently. That takes structure. That takes discipline.
Yeah.
That takes goal planning. And at the same time, when you look at them on the surface of one week they're swimming with orcas and the next week they are...
They were just in, oh my God. I know I watched...
They're biking across the U.S.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like I watched an episode, they went
and
to
immense amount of planning in bike trips. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Bike camping. Yeah.
I feel almost like I grew up in a very like I had a great life, but the one thing, as much as I learned like hard work and discipline, I did not learn like financial literacy or like it was kind of
I didn't either.
Yeah.
And my dad has it, but he never taught
it. Yeah.
My younger siblings, he did. So
Mm.
I've made mistakes. I opened up an S corp in the wrong state.
How do you
Rookie mistake?
Okay.
Yeah, like I didn't do Delaware, put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm paid California taxes.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think that there are more resources today.
Yeah.
Especially around financial coaches. Females, for some reason, tend to have a lag in how we organize our finances. That's not always the case.
Yeah.
It's a blanketed secret.
Yeah.
Don't come after me. But there tends to be a narrative around, there is a pattern that women don't invest as much in the stock market. Like there's certain statistics that I find interesting that I've banded together with other women I've met on the road that believe in. It's called The Simple Path to Wealth. It's a really nice book that's the FIRE community. It's financial independence FIRE early. And so I didn't learn a lot of these tips and tricks within the entertainment industry or actors. I learned it. I learned them with people that work remotely and wanted to prioritize what they like doing in their lives day to day. So again, that took a lot of planning. So what I've come to learn in my late 30s is even when people make it look easy or make it look off the cuff or chaotic or simple, it's not. There was a lot of planning that went into people that are living really high octane dreams.
Yeah.
Living their best lives. There usually is a lot of planning that goes into that. That doesn't mean that you can't helpfully manage your time so that it's less chaotic. But I have found that in order to have a calmer, peaceful brain, planning does not come easily for me, but I have to do it. Even if I get up 30 minutes later, an hour late,
You do the same.
still start the routine and see how much you can get done.
Sound like my mom.
Don't give up because, I screwed the day. I slept in three hours later. I slept in my alarm.
Yeah.
Get up and still start your routine because it really is like those little things every day that don't seem to make a difference.
It makes a huge
And then you wake up a month later, you've done it for 30 days and you have that much more of a budget together. You've done all your house chores. You've like gone to the back of the cave to-do list and then you're ground level. Then you get to really, once that clutter's out of your mind, then you actually have the creative space to see where that takes you.
Yeah. Yeah. I like, if I don't know if like young people listen to this, but if I could have done anything differently when I first moved here, I was very lucky to be able to just kind of do it myself. I didn't go through the process of like driving, packing my bags up and driving my car. Like I was able to ship my car, like do all the things. I wish I would have got here and just slowed down a little bit and just not throw myself into doing the most that I could at that moment. Because again, life in Dallas and life here is very different, but it was just like a lot of, I don't know. I just wish I would have thought more through it. And now that I'm 26, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, and not in like in a way of like I don't feel sorry for myself. I'm very blessed, but I wish that I would have taken more seriously, like you said, like the little things. It's
still young though. It's the youngest day of the rest of your life. I promise you. You don't feel young, but you are young.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
You are young.
I don't know. I feel like my brother and I joke that we've done everything except die. So I don't know.
That's a good thing then.
Yeah. But I love that you said that. Like it's the micro things, it's the little things.
Every single day. And it doesn't you're like, oh, it doesn't matter if I don't do that today. Mm-hmm. Well, I won't. But if you don't do it tomorrow and the next day,
it's gonna add up.
That if you don't do it for 2 or 3 days in a row, that's a very big deal.
It's a huge thing. It's just like working out. If you're like, okay, I can take a 3-day break, turns into a week, it turns into a few months. But I'm curious, like, do you feel like where you are now, you've kind of allowed life to just happen. Do you feel like there's a void that you haven't been able to fill, or like something that you still want to do that you're like, dang, if I could have done this before, or if I do it now, I'll be okay?
I mean, I regret not staying in the van longer. I had a plant that I evacuated because of life circumstances changing in Los Angeles. And that's, I hate to say it's a regret, but I would say it's a slight regret.
Yeah.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. I got to have amazing experiences because I stayed in Los Angeles, but I wouldn't have had otherwise. I learned a lot about my dating life. I'm still with that person 2 years later, but there's no doubt. I think it's important to stay honest in your relationship, and he knows the sacrifice that I made. I don't shame him with it, but he knows. He just simply knows that and understands that.
He honors that.
Yeah, he does honor that. That I've tried to show him the ways to see, because he's an adventurous guy, that partially living in the van can help save money, or the amount of adventures that we can have, it extends. We're both learning to take a step back. He's was open up to the idea perhaps a little bit later than I did. But to make less money, spend less money, and then you don't have to work as hard.
Do you feel like it's too late to learn that? Like,
never too late to learn that.
So he's open to still transitioning his life. But it just takes time.
Everybody's on their path. I think, it's crying over spilt milk to say, do I wish I'm 37. I wish I was 27 doing these things.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
But then I wouldn't have the last 10 years that I know I'll never make the mistake again, either staying too long in a relationship or staying too long at a job. I can see people getting sick earlier these days.
Dude.
People in their 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
I've had friends pass away in their 30s and 40s. We just think life goes on forever, and it doesn't. So I think that the biggest lesson I've learned throughout my 30s is telling people in their 20s to make sure you do enjoy your life. But that enjoyment comes with responsibility, because you can't just have a free-for-all, because that's not real enjoyment. That's
kind of like, it's kind of band-aiding it a little bit. Like, I appreciate all the times that I've had. I will never get them back, and I'm glad. But I'm at this point now where, like, I used to go out 5-6 nights a week. Now it's like every other weekend, and it takes me 3 days to recover. And I'm like, dude, why am I in this place of trying to recover? And I have 2 quick things. I wish that I knew, like, when I first moved here, I got in a relationship a month after I got here. Worst decision of my life, but in the best way, though. Like you said, like, kind of learn what you need, and you can hopefully have somebody that's open and willing to accept that and transition from that. If they're not, then it's like, cool, I learned it. There's never a lesson that I feel like it's too late to learn. I have a question, because in my research, I watched Mother May I?
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh my
Can
goodness.
I give you my...
It's my first movie I produced.
It's your first movie?
Yeah.
Okay, 2 questions then. First of all, can I give you my synopsis of the movie?
Yes, it's
Okay.
definitely supposed to be a head spinner. It's
Dude,
weird.
first of all, Anya, I relate to her. She's like this like hippie, like figuring it out, but like also like super sure of what she wants. She comes from a family that really, you know, talked about like psychological health and things like that. And again, I was really blessed to have a mom that feeds into me every day. I call my mom 20 times a day, and she's just like always telling me great things.
Such a blessing.
Yeah, she's amazing. But also having this perspective.
I've met Kourtlynn's mom.
Yeah. My mom thought you were so nice, and she was like, she's so awesome, and I'm like, I know, but yeah. And then she's trying to figure her life out, and I have to say, I believed that Anya was not faking it.
Oh, okay.
I thought, and just to give you guys some background, like without telling everything, you're gonna have to wonder if Anya is really experiencing the experience that she's having, or if she's just doing it for a bigger reason.
Mm-hmm. She's actually the manipulator.
I don't think she was.
I did not play her that she was.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the filmmaker's path of building 2 scripts in one, 2 paths in one.
Yeah.
It could be interpreted either way.
Yeah. I think it's a good like post-movie argument. Like, what do you think she was doing? Or like the way it was filmed was beautifully. Like,
yeah, we used hardly any lights.
Really?
It was all natural, which was wild.
Wow.
Craig at Slope Blank is a very talented man.
nice.
And I was
Like
like, hi, Craig. And Lawrence Funicelli, he's an excellent writer. And he came from a pretty heavy DP background.
Interesting.
He was a DP and a writer. And that's a very odd combination in business, to be a writer as well as a DP. And with those 2 skills, he stepped in. This was his directorial feature debut. And so
I could sense it in like the beats. Like there was a moment where you guys were at the table and it was like, and I was just like, dude, I love films that like, I didn't grow up in a TV
household.
Yeah. It was music. That's all I grew up in. So when I watched it, I was like, I love things that like keep my head on a swivel. It's like a psychological thriller, but it's not scary. It's just like, it keeps you captivated.
It's about a mushroom trip that my fiance and I are cleaning out his deceased mother's home. And I come from a prominent psychologist family where I think I am a psychologist, therefore I am.
Yeah.
And accurately so. And so I bring mushrooms to help my emotionally shut down boyfriend who now has this deceased mom that he didn't know that well. And he's a bit guarded about his relationship with his mom. So I thought, okay, I'll bring these mushrooms. We'll relax. We'll go through the things in our house and sell her home. We're flipping it to make some money to start a family, essentially. We're from hipsters in Brooklyn, and she lived in upstate New York. And the mom was a professional ballerina. You see this in her photos. And very lithe and chain smoker, loves swimming. And Anya was a cook. Anya, the girlfriend, is no makeup, very baggy clothes, kind of hunches, wants to be a poet. And it's a very different women, hates cigarette smoke. And so they take these mushrooms and they wake up, and Emmett, the boyfriend, the fiance boyfriend, or Emmett, he is a bit of a snarky boyfriend in the beginning. You kind of feel bad for the girlfriend, my character. But when they wake up from the mushroom trip, the girlfriend is now acting like his mom, wearing the mom's clothes, chain smoking, cooking for him. And he thinks it's just a mind game to drop the act.
Yeah.
But she doesn't drop the act. And you start finding out through the movie. At first you think you don't know what to think.
Yeah.
And then throughout the movie, there's different scenarios where is the mother's spirit still left in the house and is entering this woman's body. Or you find out through the movie, there's journals or notes. There's ways that Anya could have manipulated her fiance. And is she really the bad guy by the end of the movie?
We're very authentic on this podcast. I have to say, in my experience, a shroom trip does not last that long.
It's just not. That's part of that's the
thing.
The movie where it lasts like 3 days.
What do they say?
And so the boyfriend, the fiance, played by Colin Gallagher, a brilliant actor, he ended up, his journey was really grounding throughout the movie to make the performances work because I'm playing his fiance, girlfriend / his 65-year-old mom. And his reactions to those characters are quite different. So
you did a great job. It wasn't cheeky. Like it didn't give like 65-year-old woman. It gave like shrimp trip.
Yeah.
65-year-old woman. Like it was
some mannerisms or a bit of a voice.
Yeah. It was
but
incredible.
It was scary. This is too much. This is over the top.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing experience to be able to produce a movie like that.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Is why in the world, I think producers deserve so much credit and money because why would you, I think producing is stressful. So if you're at this place of like
ebbing and flowing,
why would you do that? Yeah.
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I've often wondered, I think the biggest stressor of acting is that you just don't have autonomy.
Mm.
And with producing, you kind of also don't have autonomy.
Mm.
Producing, you have to set your own hours. So you're really disciplined.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I started one of the many reasons I started being more of a planner.
Okay.
Is so I could have more of an ebb and flow mentality.
Gotcha.
Without planning, you're just suspended in air. There's to ebb and flow. For me, I need to be very anchored, so my brain can be calm, and it allows a space to really let my creative brain take off. Because if I don't open my mail and I don't get my house chores done, those things are actually just crowding my brain.
Yeah. And
you
can't sort through it.
And I could avoid those things.
Yeah.
But that's really a means to an end. And as a producer, you're really organized and really clock ground zero in your everyday life because no one's going to make you work.
No.
As an actor, when you do book a job, they make you work.
Yeah.
Show up on set.
But you get to show up on set and just like, this is what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
And show up.
You're able to detach and be a way more chaotic, unorganized person. And if you can keep acting, that can be rewarded.
Yeah.
But as often the case, even with working actors, you're not always promised a job. So for me, I found myself not very stimulated to the auditions I was going on. Why am I going to work my ass off for something I easily probably won't book?
Yeah.
So for me, producing came from the need to want to tell really fun stories.
I just a few more questions because now I can talk for hours. But when I first met you, I didn't know. I remember I thought, but like not in a negative way or not in a way of like, I think I know this person, but just like, And then later I figured out like what was happening. And I found that you're really just kind of like not Hollywood at all. It's just like the complete opposite. Do you feel like at this point, understanding that you were not going to go on these auditions that you had to work super hard for, is there like a regret in that? Or are you just kind of like,
I don't regret acting, so I'll never have to ask myself what if. And if I had stayed in Dallas, that would have eaten me alive.
Yeah.
I think I wish I would have enjoyed the moment a bit more. That's what I would recommend to people. You're just so concerned about the success of getting to the next step and what it takes. And you'll grin and bear it to get to that next step. And I thought, well, as my therapist says, you're not going to live life. You're clocked in now. You don't get to clock out.
Reasons.
Yeah. And so I make sure to spend at least 30 minutes of my day doing exactly what I want to do. And that can be like watching a YouTube video. That can be at least 30 minutes a day. I want to live presently. I try to stay spontaneous as much as I can within reason. But I'm at a place in my life where I'm really striving to plan in 6-month increments. And with acting, that's not as easy to do.
Yeah.
A lot of wrenches get thrown in your schedule. So after 16, 17 years, I'm ready to put to bed the chaotic scheduling.
Okay.
And so that allows more of an ebb and flow mentality and a calm mentality and a creative mentality. in that I could pursue my own endeavors, and what's stopping me from buying a camera myself? It doesn't have to be an Alexa. It doesn't have to be at the right.
Everybody's doing it though.
You know, it doesn't have to be a fitness. It could be, you know, the great thing about starting a second career is you have a little bit of money. You have a little bit of cushion. You're not starting from ground zero. And so, yeah, you go out and buy, I mean, Tangerine was shot on an iPhone for crying, you know,
That's
Christ's sakes. Yeah, like an amazing movie. Tangerine.
And when I say everybody's doing it, I mean more in the sense of like, we have, like you said, autonomy.
Yeah.
Like you're able to just, if you want to do it, go do it.
Access is incredible these days.
Yes.
And so for me, adventure sports and nomadic living, great storytelling. To me, it could be narrative. It could be unscripted. That's where my passion lies. And as long as I'm doing a form of that, or at least attempting to do a form of that, the best you can do is try. It's okay if I have no problem with failing. It's the fact that if I don't try, will eat me up inside. So yeah, I find that I've developed a new itch and trying to figure out a way to scratch that itch. And that's a nice motivation to get up every day.
I mean, it brings me comfort because I have ADHD. Like I take the highest dose of Vyvanse every day. So it's like really bad. And every time I find a new hobby the next month, people are like, again.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of hobbies. I do have a lot of hobbies.
And it's like, dude, if you want to try it and if it's not working out, cool. Go to the next thing, especially if you put yourself in a position to be able to do it and take care of yourself and be able to figure out like what works for you.
Yeah, like I am 37 and didn't have kids. And there's other sacrifices that I made in order to live this life. It's a really high stakes life to make your career your identity. It's not something I suggest. So I'm backpedaling and having other forms of community and hobbies and self-worth that don't rely on what I do for a living. I think that's really important, that can allow the ebb and flow and a calm approach to my life every day.
It makes you feel better. I never wanted kids, so I'm definitely in a place.
We're a dog household.
Yeah. If you like your self-talk, I'm really big on how you speak to yourself and like how you operate in your own mind. How do you speak to yourself every day? And if your friend was speaking to you the way you speak to yourself, would you still be friends with yourself?
I wouldn't used to be friends with the old self. It was just the stakes were way too high for no reason.
Yeah.
They can feel really intense in your 20s. At least I experienced that. I would say my self-talk now is pretty fair. Yeah. I would say it's pretty fair. Okay. Yeah. I think there's a balance between grace, but also responsibility. Because if I don't show up for my responsibilities, what I really want to do will not be on the table. And so you have to grow, you meaning me, the collective you. Yeah. Like we have to grow up and not let the kid run the show. If that's an unfortunate reality for me. And that if I want this hippity dippy, work remotely, work when I want, work half the year, retire early, those are a lot of, where does the money come from? Yeah. And so there has to be strategy involved and responsibility involved. And so there's a balance between, okay, you're going to get up early, you're dead tired, you only got 6 hours of sleep, you didn't sleep well. That's okay. You can take a nap today, but you have to get up now.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you got to get up now. You got to work, put one foot in front of the other. If you're tired, do the chore that's going to be the most physical, keep you up, and then sit down at your desk, like structure it. I'm a big notes fan, so I'm a big note taker. So, and with the little green check marks, and so little emoji check mark.
Are you in the zodiac signs?
Yeah, I'm a Libra. Very balanced.
I can't get away from them. My mom's Libra, my grandma, my sister, my uncle, like.
We're very calm, give credit where it's due, very fair people. Yeah. Execution's hard for me. So it's like consistency and so it's grace, but it's also, you have to really stick to like that thing wide on, like I gotta stick to it. Yeah. A lot of reminding myself why I'm doing it, and then a lot of reminding myself to actually do the little mundane thing.
Yeah. help me
Okay.
in the best way possible. Like I'm having a great time, but there are days where I'm just like, what the fuck? Like
I only have like one day.
one
but
day.
it cannot go to 2.
There's I don't know if it's like a saying, but like I'm not a victim for 24 hours. Like I think recently I was told that I'm a very sensitive person. Well, I know this about myself, but not in the sense of like I'm emotional. I hide it pretty well, but I'm really sensitive. But give me 5 minutes to cry and freak out, and then after that, it's like you got to keep it moving and just figure it out. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't believe in toxic positivity. I'm not really one for small talk, but I do believe. I think I wallowed too much in self-pity and gave myself too much quote unquote grace, but really that's not grace. That's
Pity.
well, and it's like self-harm when I'm allowed to just sleep for 4 hours and then like if I don't feed my body, which I am a junk food junkie, it's really diet and exercise. Really? Oh God, no. And it's I
won't eat.
Oh,
But it doesn't have the same effects.
I am a junk food junkie, and I have to really convince myself, like white knuckle convince myself some days, and some days I don't succeed. But that self love has gotten a lot better. But again, it can if it goes to a second day, it's really scary when I'm doing it to myself, and I have to remind myself and stay in the presence of you're really harming yourself. Like, and then I'll convince myself it's okay. Yeah, the 16-year-old run the show. I'm not 16 anymore. That doesn't work that way. That hurt. That's closed.
That metabolism is gone.
It is gone.
Yeah,
and I have to pay my mortgage, and I have to like life. I have to adult. Yeah. So yeah.
Every time I feel like I'm going to say I have one more question. I have a few more, but you said that like kind of like self-pitying and like wallowing in 4 hours throughout the day. I think I've been really blessed to have friends that like call me and they're like, did you eat? Like he called me the other day. He's like, did you eat today? And I was like, I actually did not eat today. He's like, let's go get food. So how do you give yourself that motivation, or do you have people that kind of do that for you in your life?
I am lucky enough to have a couple like genuinely best friends. One doesn't live here anymore. She now had 2 kids and then is on her 3rd child.
Goodness.
Yes. And then she's my best friend of like 18 years. And then a lot of the all-girls school girls, they were all relatively late to marry in life. Oh, really? Most of them are now married. Okay. And so I do have one of my other good best friends. He's completely nocturnal.
Oh, really?
Yes. Like 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. he sleeps. I definitely have friends that'll check in, but no, I would say as an actor, you kind of develop this like gypsy, very loner mentality. So you have to be your own best friend. Although I have amazing friends, the support system on a daily basis, it's more up to me.
Yeah. And I feel that, like, I mean,
they're cheering from afar.
Yeah. Sure. And you can feel it.
Oh yeah.
For sure. I mean, I say I'm lucky. It's really like 2 or 3 people, but again, it's like those 2 or 3 people, maybe if it's once a week, that's great. But like every day, you really have to be
really
that.
Nice.
Yeah. And I'm pretty much an introvert. I want to be an extrovert, but sometimes you just have to develop that self-talk and allow yourself, again, grace to have your moments, but also really, it's a discipline, really talking to yourself in a good way.
And I think, journaling, note-taking, list-making, Post-it, like it's a daily and sometimes hourly practice to keep yourself. You might lose time blindness into the scrolling for an hour. Okay, we'll get out of it, and it's okay. But set a timer. Like the Pomodoro method. 25 minutes, 5-minute break. 25 minutes, 5-minute break.
Someone just told me that recently. Yeah, I love that.
It's a great one.
Well, I love that, and I think I'm learning a lot from you. And we haven't had very many interactions, but I just realized, like, if I find someone that I'm constantly asking them, like, what is this? Or like, what do you suggest? I automatically know, like, there's something more that I would like to know. And you said you're not big for small talk, really big on that. And I can appreciate that. So I just appreciate you again for allowing me to kind of be in your space. I really try to mind my business.
Very sweet. No, I think the biggest thing that I still am learning is, and the reason why I think I fall into a nice category that my friends, and I don't speak every day, is that it's a very lonely journey to get back to where I want to be, or to if people have goals in their life. It's Sarah Blakely, who started Spanx.
Yeah.
She said the same thing. She was like, it was really, and there was also the owners of Jack Black, the like lip gloss.
Yeah.
Yeah,
of course.
They also said the same thing. They said, and I'm noticing it day to day as I've become more of a responsible human being in the last 3-4 years, is I really value that outdoor van time. In order to get that hike in, or in order to go skiing, or in order to go surfing, or I do a lot of kind of extreme sports in order, I'm trying to get the paragliding or sailing. So it's like, in order to get into those sports though, I need to get my work done.
So you can do that.
So I'm able to do those things. And the thing I've noticed when I find myself wanting to call one of my best friends, Kourtlynn, as long as it's that, after 2 or 3 in the afternoon, it'll most likely be up. I sometimes find looking at my clock, like, it's 3 o'clock yet.
Yeah.
Why do I want to call him so much? And I think it's powwowing about what I need to do is not doing what I need to do.
I love that.
And so
recognizing that.
It's like, I find myself wanting to reach out to someone when all I really need to do is put my head down and finish my to-do list. And at 6:30, you can go call someone and you can go over and bring dinner to them. But why am I finding a need to reach out in the middle of the afternoon? I need, it's a lonely journey. It's usually just putting your head down and sticking to that to-do list. And sometimes those to-do lists can be like part 1, part 2, I'll even give myself credit if it's like laundry, it's two-part process. And 3 parts, folding. Yeah. So I'll put it down 1, 2, 3.
I'd say.
So just, to give myself motivation to make sure that it's just even breaking it down into really small steps, but unfortunately it's a very internalized process.
I just want to be honest that I don't see a lot in van life is like people of color.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do I need to be afraid of that? Or is that no?
I mean, there is a joke that we're like the white people at the white vans, their white food going to white stuff. Like there's a joke that said white.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I love when I see all kinds of people in vans.
Okay.
I went to a van meetup where like 2 Japanese people showed up.
Really?
In kimonos.
No way.
Yes. And they had rented a van, but he had built his own van back in Japan. And I mean, the Japanese builds are wild.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
The craftsmanship was insane. He had all these pictures of them. And his girlfriend's parents were livid that he took her to America.
I can only imagine.
It's so traditional there. They were from like a small town in Japan.
Aren't you supposed to be
They were not Tokyo people. They were like town people.
Wow.
And so I loved that. I think that it's slowly changing.
Okay.
You see a lot of mixed couples. You also, there's a girl named Where is Brittany? She's got a schoolie.
Okay.
She's great to follow. I think it's changing the narrative. And I think that I'm just so glad it's finally changing. Yeah. But I think it was slow to change it first, for sure.
One of my goals, like when I started making TikToks, was kind of doing random things. And when I went camping, everybody was like, oh my God, like quite frankly, a Black person camping. Like you don't see that often. And being from the country, like that's all I'm used to is just.
Right. You're used to camping.
Yeah, I'm used to like the sticks. And then, I just want to make a community for people like us to know that like there are other things that we can do.
Yeah.
I just hope I can do it. I really appreciate you, Holland.
Yeah.
And we're going to do just a quick little rapid round of questions. It's called Not Too Much. So
hopefully my Layla culture is is actually, it's a bait switch. It's really, you got to have your shit together, get your shit done. And I only say that because I'm in the process of trying to do that myself.
Well, these questions are pretty benign. Like it's not anything too deep. So are you a TikTok or Instagram person?
I'm Instagram. I am too old for TikTok.
Dude, you gotta get into TikTok.
Recipes and building.
Recipes and building.
Building tutorials.
Do you like to cook?
I like to cook, but it's a thing for me.
Okay.
So I tend to terrible. One of the things I'm working on, I'll do takeout, junk food junkie over here, and I'll eat half the meal.
Yeah.
And then I eat the other half of the meal. So it dies down the calories and the money.
It's 2 days.
So it's 2 days,
Yeah.
or it's like, this is all I'm eating today, where I'll have like a little side thing I'll put in my pantry with the dinner part. But I try and break it down that way. I don't suggest it. Trader Joe's is way cheaper. Meal plan people.
I'm a Trader Joe's junk.
Yeah, I'll cook, but it turns into like expensive because I'm making some fancy dish.
Yeah.
That's like a literal hobby.
Yeah. If you ever do eat meat,
I definitely.
if you're ever open to it, I make a great steak.
Oh,
You're into it. So
use the green egg in the back.
I don't know how.
Oh, just Google YouTube.
I won't burn it down. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Are you a FaceTime?
we'll just move it outside the trees.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna try it. I might do it this weekend. Never know. Are you a FaceTime or a phone call person?
Phone call.
Okay.
But I should be FaceTime.
Yeah.
I should be FaceTime. I like
That
Marco
would-
Polo, that I stopped paying for the app, but I like Marco.
What's that?
Marco Polo is where you leave messages so your friends can check them anytime they want. It's just like a string down below where the message, like, it's basically FaceTime for a message.
Nice.
So you can like put it in the car and like be talking
Yeah.
and then send them a message or you can be listening to a message from them.
Okay. Is FaceTime a jinxie thing? Or is it like
No.
it's just like a preference thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
sometimes I FaceTime my mom.
Yeah.
That's not the only one. Or
Because
my
you don't see them.
friend in Nashville
Yeah.
and her daughter. Yeah.
I'm a phone call person too myself. So are you do you play music or listen to a podcast?
Both, but recently podcasts.
Podcast. Okay. What is
I
your-
love the van trips because I'll have
Yeah.
a full day where like, okay, the first 2-3 hours I'm gonna phone call.
nice.
And I'm gonna do some playlists.
Mhm.
Then I'll get into smart podcasts and then we go trash podcast in out the day.
Perfect.
And it's like divides the road trip so efficiently. We're
Yeah.
like, 10 hours, that's nothing.
That's a balance.
Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
all the things that you need in
Yeah,
one.
so on road trips I get involved.
Yeah. Are you R&B, rock, or pop rock?
I am not very well versed in music.
Okay.
What do I like in music? I like French music. That's
Really?
usually what I like.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like French music, and then I like kind of
It's not like eating him.
no, it's like air.
Okay.
And, oh gosh, I should like Les Enfants, like it's like kind of like groovy
Okay.
mood.
You kind of just like vibe to it.
Yeah,
okay,
I would say
okay.
it's like vibey music.
Okay.
maybe, is the best word to describe it.
And it's in the French language.
They're mostly in the French language, and a lot of really great French DJs,
Nice.
French bands tend to be where I end up.
Mm.
But who do I really like? This is how bad. I also like 90s music,
Oh, I love 90s
Like-
music. Yeah.
like Eagle Eye Cherry,
Oh, nice. Okay.
and not Nickelback. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
I like Michael Jackson.
Okay.
I like all the old school music. I like Diana Ross. I
Nice.
like Jimmy Buffett.
Okay.
I like
You like good
the
eclectic.
band like Atlantic City.
Okay. Okay.
But I mean, really, it's more like the vibey.
Yeah.
I'm not a Swiftie. That's where I draw the line.
Thank
Yeah. No.
God. We are.
My two best friends are Swifties.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, hardcore.
I can't
nuts.
do it. I like Speak Now, the old, because I like country music. So I like
Okay.
the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't like country music.
Interesting.
I like old school country music.
Okay.
I'm not really a country music person.
Yeah.
I like all the high school music too. Nelly. I like Nelly.
Nice.
I love so I like all the high school music that I
Okay.
grew up with.
Do you know the last person you listened to, like the last artist?
That's a good question.
So if I were to get in your car today, what would come on as soon as I got in your car?
There was a person that sent me a DM about reposting a girl's music,
Okay.
and I have no opinion of her music.
Okay.
That's
That's valid.
I think that's the girl that would be on my thing.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Valid. Okay.
Gosh, yeah. I've been more into podcasts lately. Clearly,
Yeah.
it's my brain acts. I can't even listen to bands.
I'm
What's
a
that?
podcast junkie. Like,
I'm a podcast.
okay, cool. Binge a TV series or watch a movie?
Watch YouTube.
Mm.
I need to get back into docs and
Yeah.
movies, but I'm a YouTube girl.
documentary junkie.
I'm a documentary junkie.
Okay,
I
cool.
used to be. I
Yeah.
don't know if you call me that anymore. But
Yeah.
I'm a YouTube junkie. I love Yes Theory, Johnny Harris, Um,
I'm sorry, I just got so excited.
yeah, I love Yes Theory.
Yeah.
Johnny Harris and Yes Theory are my favorites.
Yeah.
I like Hubert, and of course, I like Diary of CEO, which are all basically podcasts that are on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched Diary of the CEO last night. I binged
Oh,
him.
he's great, man.
So good.
He's
What
so
a
good.
genius, man.
He's a genius.
Great. And then
There's
Yes
also a
Theory.
guy hitchhiking across the continent of Africa. He's
Right now?
wild. Yes, he's a crazy. No. He's not hitchhiking. He's running it.
What the
That's
fuck?
right. He's an ultra.
He's running
He's
Africa.
running it. And
Wow.
he has like a follow van. He's like a staff van or something like that. They're full of his friends.
Mhm.
But like the van blew up at one point.
What?
They got a really bad wreck. Like it's pretty wild. Oh gosh.
If you remember, can you let me know?
Blank on his channel. Yes.
Yeah.
For that, look up like guy running across Africa right now.
Mhm.
And he's just some crazy British guy.
Nice.
He's like one of those
The
dark
British are
guys.
really like into. They're interesting to watch. I think most of what I watch are the British because
Which one?
Diary of the CEO.
Diary of the British. Yeah.
I used to watch. I'm embarrassed to say this, but it was a lesbian couple.
Yeah.
What was there? One was from Kentucky and one was British.
Funny. I don't know that.
Oh my god, they were so good. I don't even know if they still make YouTube videos, but they were very entertaining. Yeah,
Okay.
to watch. Okay, do you like a night in or a night out?
Oh, night in.
Okay, easy peasy. And are you like a day?
It depends. If we're going to like a nice, dressy, casual, like a hipstery foodie restaurant, I love that.
Okay.
But my guilty passion, which I'm trying to get off of, next month's gonna happen, is like Uber Eats needs to be like a once a month situation, and that's my guilty pleasure.
Okay.
And I love, I like
just sitting in
watching my documentary, playing with my dog. It's my favorite.
What a great life, honestly. A day at the beach. Yeah. A day at the beach or a day in the trees.
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 Yeah. Although it depends on the beach, but I would ultimately say the mountains.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you sweets or a savory person?
Both, but sweets.
Sweets. Like candy or like chocolate?
Cake.
Ooh.
Cake and ice cream.
Your 20s or your 30s?
That's a good question. I think both for different reasons.
Okay.
I'd say my late 20s were a blast. I don't regret them. But my 30s, it's so true. The older you get, the less you care. And it's just true. All the old ladies are right.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Okay. And lastly, travel by van or travel by plane?
That's really tough too. Totally different mentalities. I love planes. I like planes for the places I can't get to in a van.
Okay.
But I like exploring my own backyard. And that was the biggest point of getting the van, is to learn about different national parks and national forests. And we have a really cool country.
Yeah.
America is, especially the West, but there's just so many spots that you would never get to see otherwise, unless you did travel by car or van. Yeah.
So van for the United States.
And even biking, guys. I'm learning in this Kara and Nate series with biking that there's things you wouldn't even see in a car because you're biking. It's even slower. So that was really interesting to discover through their channel right now.
We travel all the states in a van. I like that. Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you always.
of course.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for letting me talk your head off.
No worries.
What do you have coming up in your life? Where can people find you?
Yeah. I have a podcast debuting November 30th called Uncoupling.
Really?
Yeah.
November 30th?
On November 30th. Yep.
Okay.
And
I'll be listening.
Stampede Ventures, wherever you get your podcast, you can subscribe there. We'll also have a Patreon channel. It's a breakup podcast, master self-help.
Nice.
Self-help. Breakup nasty at. It's a self-help channel. And just that destigmatizing the idea of a breakup, and it's okay to part ways, and what you take away from those relationships and how to do that gracefully. And we have some experts on that channel. And then we've got a mini series coming out. Strike is over. I can talk about it. It's called Holidays.
Okay.
It's a cute little holiday mini series. And that's coming out in January.
Perfect.
On Peacock, I believe.
Love Peacock.
And Hallmark produced it. So let me see where that's going to end up airing.
Okay.
Then yeah, Mother May I, you can get on Apple TV.
You guys have to watch it. It's so good.
LA Times and Guardian did us a solid.
Yeah.
It's really great reviews. And it's been really fun. It's really fun reading the reviews that came out a few months ago. So we came out right at the top of the strike. And yeah, I've got a film called Making Waves out right now.
Nice.
It came out about a month ago, and that's about it.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.